105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:06. It's O'Connor and Company. Larry O'Connor back here after vacation, taking 8 shows off. Andrew Langer filling in. Thanks, Andrew. And to Julie and Patrice and Mercedes for keeping him in line. And Heather Hunter for really making all the trains run on time. It's Larry O'Connor here, and in 30 minutes we'll be joined by Mark Morgan, formerly the Commissioner of the Border Protection. We'll find out exactly what we can do to reverse the disaster Biden has inflicted on us. It's Larry O'Connor with Mercedes Schlapp. And as our friend Bono is mentioning here, everyone likes to go home for Christmas, right? That's what I'm doing. Meredith and I will be heading to Oklahoma, as we do every year at Christmas, to be with our fabulous, my fabulous in-laws, Meredith's family, my family, for that matter. But it turns out that as I make this trek with Meredith, as many others who are within the sound of our voice this morning make the same trek, heading back to home and visiting families for the holidays, it appears that most people, or a good chunk of people, who make that trek see it as much more of a chore than a break or a vacation. In fact, the latest survey suggests that 34% of Americans say that family gatherings don't actually count as a vacation, a true vacation. 71% of them say they'd likely need a separate trip afterwards to properly unwind and relax. In other words, you're going to travel, you're going to see your family, and when you get back, the only thing you can think of is, oh my God, I really need a vacation. You just went on a vacation. Well, this is why, so Meredith and I take the preemptive vacation. We just got back. We went on a nice Caribbean holiday, as you know. We haven't been here for the last eight shows. And we do it preemptively. It's like a prophylactic. It's like insurance. We do it ahead of time so that we're all rested up, we're all relaxed up, and then when we go visit family, nothing can bother us. Right? It's like, it's fine. No matter what, and not that anything negative would happen with Meredith's family, because they're the salt of the earth. They're wonderful. They're fantastic. But apparently, according to this study, and to be fair, this study was commissioned by a hotel ownership corporation, so they might have a vested interest in getting people to take vacations. But apparently, this one study, to feel relaxed again, the study says that people would gladly jump at the chance to take a nap in a large, comfortable bed, or soak in a jacuzzi, or book a spa day after visiting their parents, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, their nieces, their nephews, or their grandparents. What is wrong with people? Why is it a chore to have to visit family for Christmas? I don't understand people who get stressed out about this stuff. It's like, what the worst possible day you're going to have, not going to work and sitting around with family members talking about Christmas and holidays and football, is still better than most days actually doing your job, isn't it? What am I missing here? I recognize you're going to go home and people are going to start talking politics, but what do you care? What do you care if it starts to get tense or annoying, or if your mom starts nagging at you? So what? You take it while you can. There are plenty of people who miss their mom's nagging. They would give anything to hear mom nagging at them again. I don't know why people get so stressed out at a time. You know why? I think people try to overthink the holidays. They try to they invest so much energy into it. And the stakes, they have created these super high stakes for themselves. Everything's got to be perfect. And everyone's got to love the present and everything. No, you're going about it all the wrong way. You should be lowering the stakes. And say to yourself, and say to your kids, and say to your spouse, if at the end of this trip, the worst thing that happened is that we spent time with our family in these few moments that we have with them on planet Earth, that's a good thing. Mission accomplished. Success. But according to this survey, when visiting family, 43% of Americans say it makes them feel like they're being parented and as if they were a kid again, right? Oh, I don't want to go back and visit my family and my parents because they just treat me like a kid. Well, of course they do. You're their kid. That's the fun of it. And by the way, when you're in their shoes, you're going to want to do the same thing. 28% say that when they leave Christmas, they leave feeling annoyed, frustrated, or sad. I don't know what to tell you. That also, apparently, there's a huge portion, 55% of people going back to see their family for Christmas or for the holidays. Over half choose to stay in a hotel, even though they could stay in their parents' house. Now, I kind of get that. Although when we go back, we always stay at Meredith's parents' house with my mother and father-in-law. We always stay at their house. And it is more convenient, by the way. But I do get, when you're traveling with kids especially, it does take a lot of stress out to go to a hotel and be able to have a little bit of a break, right? A little, I don't want to say sanctuary because that suggests that you're being tortured or something. But I do get that. When it's nice to be, and by the way, it's also sometimes nice for grandma and grandpa to be able to say, okay, well, we're going to head back to the hotel now. And inside, sometimes grandma and grandpa are like, oh, thank God they're going back to the hotel. Because they probably need a break too. But it's shocking to me that 55% choose to stay in a hotel rather than with friends or with relatives. 40% will stay in a bed and breakfast. 40% in hostels? What is wrong with you? You guys would rather stay in a hostel than stay with mom and dad? How bad can it be? According to holiday travelers, the perks of staying in a hotel include having more space to themselves. I don't believe that. You're telling me that the room that your kids and you are staying in at your well, I guess maybe it is. If you're all bunking in one room, then it probably is a little roomier at a hotel room. But the perks are you've got more space to yourselves. You're able to relax and get taken care of by someone else. See, that's the key. To be able to go back to a hotel and not have to worry about making the bed and not have to worry about cleaning up the bathroom and all of that stuff. That is a perk. And also, by the way, takes the stress out of your parents. If you're staying at your parents' or at your in-laws and you know that your mom or grandma is going to have to clean up after you and clean up the bathroom and everything, I get that. My 4 kids, this year it's just going to be 3 kids because my oldest has a job over the holidays working on a play back in L.A. But the other 3 are all going to come. And Meredith and I, and we have like one of those Jack and Jill situations where the kids stay in one bedroom, Meredith and I stay in the other, and then we got a shared bathroom. So 5 of us, 5 grown people, my youngest is 16, so that's like a young adult. 5 grown people will be using the same bathroom over the course of, from Friday through Christmas Day. I get it that you don't want to burden mom and dad with that kind of cleanup. So it makes sense that you would choose to stay at a hotel. But beyond that, if people are just doing it because they don't want to spend time with their family, what's the point? Just go back to the pandemic and Zoom Christmas with mom and dad. But Mercedes, are you the type, do you have everyone come to your house for Christmas or do you visit?
Oh, Larry, you know how our house works. It's like a train station. There's always people staying with us. There's always family coming in.
That was me and Meredith a couple of weeks ago.
But I got to tell you, I think, it's so important to it's a time of family. It's a time of bringing people together and sharing these in special memories. I mean, life is just too short.
I have to tell you, I have met way too many people who have lost their parents who say to me, my parents drove me nuts. And I would get so stressed out. But what I wouldn't give for one more Christmas with them driving me nuts right now.
That's right.
And I think we should all bear that in mind, especially at this time. I know it's a pain. I know it's a hassle. It's a hassle you got to love. Thank God for hassles like this.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Well, and speaking of Christmas, of course, Christmas is the day that we choose to commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ in that little town of Bethlehem. But because of radical Islamic terrorists, Christmas has now been canceled in Bethlehem. Yeah, it's a city within the boundaries of the West Bank, which is territory that is under the control of the Palestinian Authority. It's the site that most Christians recognize as the birthplace of Jesus, and they will be having no festive activities at all because of the war at Gaza.
Yeah.
Typical.
Have you been to Bethlehem?
I haven't. I was hoping to go next year, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to
We
make
went
that trip.
during CPAC Israel, and actually we had to take a bus. The bus we took in had bulletproof windows, and our Jewish friends could not go into Bethlehem. So it's, when you go there, it's an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how tragic is that? The place where Jesus was born. They're so concerned with the war, and normally they see thousands of individuals coming to celebrate Christmas in Bethlehem, and now all of a sudden it's just quiet. I mean, it just shows where we are in this globe during this war.
Yeah, and that's fascinating because, of course, the birthplace of Jesus is one of the holiest spots in the Christian religion, and it's under the control of the Palestinian Authority, and you're taking your life into your own hands going to it, and the Palestinian government does not keep it safe for visitors. In fact, I remember under Yasser Arafat back in the 90s, if I remember right, they sort of trashed the church that was there when they were all holed up there trying to extract something else from the Israeli government. But here's what's interesting. While you were in Jerusalem, you could have visited the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is in Israeli control. It's at the Temple Mount. It was a mosque that was built on the location of the temple, the Jewish temple that was built, the second temple that was destroyed by the Romans in AD 73, I believe it was. The Muslims built a temple there. It's under Israeli control, but it is peaceful and it is protected. So Muslims can go and visit their holy places when it's controlled by Christians or Jews, but Christians can't visit our holy places if it's under the control of Muslims.
Yeah. Look, and when we were in Israel, and Jerusalem in particular, which is, I would say, one of the most incredible, spiritually moving experiences I've ever had in my life. There is the Christian quarter, the Arab quarter, the Jewish quarter, and they would coexist. I mean, there was this sense of we're going to make this work. But when you're talking about the fact, after what we saw, the tragedies, the barbaric behavior and acts by the Hamas terrorist organization, I mean, talk about just a city on edge at this point. But I will say, I was talking to a friend of mine who just visited Israel and Jerusalem in particular. He goes, there is a spiritual renewal happening right now in Israel, and I think part of it is people are realizing that we gotta fight to ensure that we can protect our religion, whether it's Judaism, Christianity. I think that it's definitely something that we're starting to see. So while this is tragic to hear what's happening in Bethlehem, it will be a silent night, literally there. It's a moment where I think you're going to see a lot of people who are really praying to the Lord and saying we need world peace and we need to find a way to find peace once again. And because right now we're just seeing a lot of darkness and hatred, quite frankly.
By the way, this is another I can't remember who it was that said it, but they said that the Palestinians never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity.
Yeah.
It may have been George Shultz, I can't remember, or James Baker, but it was a diplomat who has seen firsthand opportunity after opportunity after opportunity for those in charge of what is called the Palestinian territories to be able to have some kind of self-governance, to actually do something for their people. They don't want it. They don't want to help the Palestinian people. They want to destroy the Jews. That's the problem. That's their main goal, is they want to kill Jews and wipe them off the map. It has nothing to do with helping their own people. But this is what an opportunity it is, because if you think about it, because Bethlehem is under their control and other actually incredibly important locations, historical locations in Christianity, like the Jordan River, the baptism of Jesus Christ is under their control as well. They could be a tourist mecca. Pilgrims, Christian pilgrims from around the world, the world's largest religion, could be going there and spending all their money and staying in hotels and enjoying their pilgrimage. But it's not important. Think of the money that could be flowing into that area to help the people, but they don't care.
Well, instead, it's the brainwashing of they have to kill the Jews. I mean, that's
right.
really where we are. It's the brainwashing of these children, of the Palestinian children as well. And so, I'll tell you, when you step out of the Israeli-controlled area into the Palestinian-controlled area, you could tell the difference.
Of course.
You could tell the difference on how the towns and cities are, from just the way, from a cleanliness standpoint to how it's so different. It's just a different feel altogether.
I think that we hope most Americans, I think, at this point are done with the brainwashing from the intelligentsia, from the left wing, from Western Europe about this myth of a two-state solution. There's no such thing as a two-state solution.
Well, we can't. It's gone. They lost that opportunity.
They've had decades telling us that, and we see exactly what it looks like. No, there is a one-state solution, and that one state is the state of Israel.
Yes.
And imagine a time when they have control of these territories and we can actually have peace and harmony in that place, where the people who are trying to destroy and murder innocent Jews and Christians, by the way, are finally put in their place and taken out of any power. And we stop pretending like they are a legitimate political entity, because they aren't. They've proven that they can't be. It's 8:24. In more news about why you should be homeschooling your children, we had this horrific story coming out of Prince George's County, Maryland. In one high school this week on Tuesday, Charles Herbert Flowers High School, according to Fox 5, there were 10 fights that broke out in one day.
Wow.
Mercedes, 10 fights. A bunch of them, of course, got posted up on social media, the videos, but this continues to be a plague in this area. And the administration, teachers are not allowed to intervene. They're trying to get cops out and school resource officers out of the schools. So it's just mayhem right now.
It's mayhem. I got to tell you, I mean, first of all, I even think for teachers that they're being placed in what I would say are dangerous situations. And then sometimes they end up getting sued if they get involved in these, fights. It's horrific.
Yeah.
It's horrific, Larry.
They sent a letter home to parents. We understand that conflicts may arise, but we want to emphasize the importance of resolving disputes through constructive means. No, how about you expel? Anyone who gets in a fight, you're expelled. You're done.
But
and you're arrested. It's an assault.
Yeah, but it's not solving the fundamental problems of what's bringing this anger out of these young people.
Fair enough. Coming up, Mark Morgan on the disaster at our border. Next.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:36 here on O'Connor and Company as Mercedes Schlapp and I, Larry O'Connor, send you into your Christmas weekend. Patrice Onwuka will be, of course, with us tomorrow for our last pre-Christmas extravaganza.
Fun.
I know, it's close. I love that. Were you when you were a kid, were you the countdown kid? Were you like looking at the advent calendar every
countdown
day?
kid. Absolutely. Oh, yes. Yeah. I don't know if it stressed me out more to count down, too, because I was
now
like,
that
it's
you're a parent,
over.
it's stressful, right? Well, Mark Morgan is probably that kind of guy, too. He, of course, the former acting commissioner of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection during the Trump administration. But sadly, there's not a whole lot of Christmas cheer to go around right now when you look at the status of our border. As bad as it seems, Mark, it got even worse this week, didn't it?
Yeah, can you imagine it? I mean, the first year under the Biden administration, he set every single record. Then in FY22, he beat that record. FY23, he beat that record. And now in FY24, the first 2 months, he set new levels of historic flow of illegal immigration coming in. And just the last 2 months, there's been more total nationwide encounters under the Biden administration than the full last year under the Trump administration, to put that in perspective. This is unsustainable for any country in the face of the planet, including this country.
Yeah, by the way, it should be pointed out that you were the acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection during that last year of the Trump administration. That's when we worked with our partners in Mexico and other countries. We had Remain in Mexico. We had new provisions for asylum seekers that they would ask in their own home countries. How quickly can we turn this around, Mark, when we get a new president who's actually takes seriously his constitutional responsibility to protect our border?
That's a great question. Look, we can start making extreme difference literally on day one. And I'm gonna tell you how, and I'm not trying to be facetious, but literally all we have to do is look up on the shelf and look where it says Trump border security plan. pull it off the shelf, dust it off, and start implementing it. I'll give you a couple examples. On day one, he needs to declare a national emergency. On day two, he needs to start reconstruction of the border wall. On day three, he needs to reinstitute a couple of policies you just mentioned, the asylum cooperative agreements with all three Northern Triangle countries. He needs to reinstitute the Remain in Mexico program. And a significant one, he needs to force Mexico, just like he did before, to get some skin in the game and actually secure their southern border, increase their interior enforcement to stop the flow. And the last thing, he actually needs to unleash ICE to be able to do its job. And I'm going to steal a line from Tom Holman, and unleash the largest massive deportation operation that this country's ever seen. You do those steps and you're going to see a difference.
So we've seen authorities encounter nearly 27,000 illegal immigrants in 48 hours. These are numbers you're saying that are like we've never seen before. We're seeing that people are just being released, and then they're saying, okay, you can have an immigration hearing in 2031. Is it just too late, Mark? Are we just at a point that it is just too late to salvage this, to get our national security under control?
Mercedes, I think the answer is yes, to some degree. Now, look, can we reverse it? Can we start making an impact? All that is true, but so is what you just said. Look, I get asked all the time, hey, Mark, because we talk about the national security threat, right? We know that we have illegal aliens on the FBI's terror screening database come in. We know that we have aliens from special interest, we call special interest aliens from countries that we know sponsor, facilitate, and harbor terrorism. And so we get asked, well, Mark, are you concerned that the threat could come? And I say no. And they look at me like, no? I say, no, it's already here. I mean, Mercedes, yeah. So both is true. We can reverse course, but to some degree it's already too late. The threat is already here. We could already have a terrorist cell in the country planning the next terrorist attack. And let's not forget, 1.8 million known gotaways. And we know among them are murderers, rapists, pedophiles, aggravated felons, and gang members. I mean, the threat is already here.
Mark, it's funny. I engaged with a friendly discussion with somebody on my vacation about what to do after we secure the border, because we've got upwards to 8 to 10 million people who have come into this country illegally, many of them under bogus asylum claims. And I said they have to be deported. They have to be sent home. We can't be forced to inherit them. And there was a bit of a debate about how to get that done. Seems to me if you enforce E-Verify nationwide and you keep employers from being able to hire them, and you actually start prosecuting some employers for illegally hiring people who shouldn't be in this country, then you start to actually make a dent here. If you don't deport people directly, people will leave because they're here for jobs. You stop giving them benefits, and you stop allowing them to work here illegally, and they're not going to stay. Or am I being naive?
No, you're absolutely 100% right. And here's why I can say this with confidence, because that's what history has shown. Decade after decade, when any administration actually had strength and political will to do exactly what you just said, that's what happens. It's common sense. If you take away the incentives, right, and the incentives are they want to be released illegally. They want to be free from deportation. They want to work illegally, send money home, and bring family members. If you de-incentivize, if you take all of those away, they will start – some of them will self-report. But here's what's very important. They'll also stop coming. And so it's not just the fact that we secure our physical borders. We have to de-incentivize people to illegally enter our borders. And how we do that is we address those 5 things. And one last thing I want to – and sometimes people say, well, Mark, how do you deport millions and millions? And I say, look, one at a time. I mean, and I'm not being facetious, right? I mean, there really is going to be a whole of government approach. And again, I'll go back to stealing Tom Holman's line, is we have to have a whole of government approach to really pull off the largest deportation operation we've ever seen, because it's not enough to secure the borders. Because if people still believe that if they make it in, they're going to stay, they're going to keep coming. They're just that's right. They're just going to get better at sneaking in.
Yeah, I love that one at a time thing. Let's face it. Everybody knows the road that they drive on, that they have to watch themselves, otherwise they will get pulled over for speeding, right? And that we know that road. We know, and there's no cameras, but you know the one that the cops are always watching. And the cops have enforced it. They haven't pulled everybody over that's sped, but you've seen 1 or 2 people that get pulled over. That's all you need to know that if you break the law, you're going to get busted. That's how this works.
That's it. I mean, we've even seen where some police departments will just park a car, an empty old police car on the side of the road as a deterrence, right?
Yeah.
And that's so key, Larry, because that's exactly what Governor Abbott just did with SB 4. It's a deterrence. Now it's a state crime to enter illegally, and now he's going to be able to detain, prosecute, and potentially remove. That serves as a strong deterrence, a strong de-incentivization of people to actually come across illegally. And that was the crux of the plan under the Trump administration, right? And by February of 2020, we had reduced illegal immigration by 85%, almost a 40-year low. And what was the results of that? That meant we had more law enforcement and national security officers and agents back on the front lines securing our border. Fewer drugs, fewer criminals, and fewer national security threats were coming into our country.
So let me bring up Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. He said on Tuesday, he suggested taking President Biden off the ballot in Texas due to the handling or mishandling of immigration, citing the Colorado Supreme Court's ruling to kick former President Trump off that state ballot. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I think like the Democrats obviously have taken it full force of trying to take Donald Trump off the ballot. In this case, they're saying, well, I mean, come on, it's a dereliction of duty, and President Biden obviously is ignoring what's happening at the border. Your thoughts?
So my gut is an American, because I think everyone believes that we have this huge perception of a two-tiered system of justice. So my gut is, hey, they're doing it to President Trump, then we should be doing it to President Biden as well. But look, Mercedes, I back off a little bit of that, and what I do say is, hey, look, let's not continue to improperly use the courts for political reasons.
Amen.
But there is a political process. It's called impeachment, right? So I mean, Secretary Mayorkas should be impeached. And I do believe what's happening on our border is absolutely an impeachable offense for the president. The Constitution is very clear. Article 4, Section 4 says that the federal government mandates. It's not shall. It's not if they want to or if they feel like it or have the political will. It says they must secure and defend our borders from any threat from outside its borders. This president has intentionally abdicated that responsibility. He took the most secure border in our lifetime and intentionally unsecured it, jeopardizing every aspect of our nation's safety, health, and national security.
Well said. Mark Morgan, former Commissioner of Border Protection. Everyone nationwide listening on the WMAL app now wants to know what kind of dog you have.
I know.
I was you, Mercedes, right?
Wait, I forgot. Is it the German Shepherd or the Aussie?
Australian Shepherd.
Okay, I was trying to remember.
Shepherd. Yeah, it didn't sound as deep and robust as a German Shepherd.
No, I was trying to remember.
Aussie Shepherds are good. They try to herd you wherever you go, right, as you're walking in the house.
Absolutely.
I love
that. In fact, she's sitting right here by me now. I was hoping you didn't hear that.
Merry Christmas, Mark. Great talking with you.
Merry Christmas.
Well, Governor Youngkin is bouncing back from the disappointing election day in November, and he's taken the bull by the horns here as he faces off against Democrats in both houses now. He's calling on the General Assembly to get rid of the car tax. He says the car tax belongs in the trash can, not in your mailbox. It's probably the most unpopular thing instituted over the last several years under Democrat control of Virginia. I wish he had taken this issue up right after his election, but now's a good time. It's a clarifying moment to let the people of Virginia know exactly where Democrats stand on something as unpopular as the car tax.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Democrats love taxes so much other than just feeding the bureaucratic system, But I think, I think it's a smart move by Youngkin. He's been very successful in enticing businesses to come over into Virginia and really making it, helping build the economy here, bringing more jobs. We see the deal he is working on with the Wizards and the Capitol teams, trying to get them out of Washington, D.C. So I think it's a smart move by Youngkin. But again, the Democrats, it's going to be tough for him. He's going to have to. There's a lot of negotiations that need to happen. He
also wants to cut He wants to cut state income taxes by 12% across the board. He said that he would propose a 0.9% increase in sales tax to offset that. This moves him closer to Tennessee, Texas, Florida, and other states that have no income tax. That would be where Virginia really wants. All right, Mercedes, a very Merry Christmas to you and the whole Schlapp clan.
Feliz Navidad,
Oh,
Larry.
that too, I suppose.
Yeah,
I forget
many
about
blessings
your
to
Latin
all
roots.
of you, all of our great listeners.
Patrice Onwuka will be here tomorrow for another great show. It's good to be back, and it's always good to see and talk to Chris Plant. Merry Christmas, Chris. Did people know that you dressed like an elf this entire week?
I don't think they know. I don't. We don't do the video stream or anything, so just
Probably
have
best.
to imagine. Just have
Probably
to imagine.
best, because in some cases it'll look like a Senate hearing room, and that's not good.
Like they have to imagine you on the bow of that ship screaming, "I'm the king of the world."
How did you know? Did Meredith tell you that I do that every time?
You know, TikTok is everywhere.
That's it.
TikTok. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to you. Great to hear your voice. And Mercedes, wonderful Mercedes. You know, we work together all the time over at Newsmax. And
Yeah.
and Patrice Onwuka, too. She was on our humble show last night on Newsmax as well.
Yeah, maybe I should have Jason co-host with me one day.
That is probably a good idea. I think you
that
might,
could be interesting.
might enjoy that. Invite him in the studio. It's,
He's a joy.
yeah.
He's a joy.
Not you.
WMAL FM.